PowerPoint?
No,
Okay. Then we can just leave them yours.
I don't. No. Yeah, you're perfect. Is everything like the connection? My laptop died, so I had to plug it in. Is it all like
Everything
up and good again? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Okay, you're on.
All right, awesome. So, hi, I've met most of you, not all of you. There are some people in the corner I haven't met. But I'm Jenya, and I am on a mission. So I'm 15, and I have a vision that I am eagerly working toward. So the basis of this vision is bringing together my generation, my peers, and teaching them how to tap into that part of themselves, that's fueled by passion, something that they are passionate about bringing to the world or creating or becoming. In my head, I see, you see this every day. You see the difference between people who are really happy or people who are passionate about something versus those who aren't, whether they're unhappy at a job they're working at or have existential, crises or things going on at home that make it difficult for them to operate a higher version of themselves. And one thing that I've observed is those who are really passionate or doing something that they love are open to give back and are consistently giving back to the community and doing as much as they can to improve, whether it be a block on their neighborhood, to their city, to their state, to their country, and it just builds out. So when you get yourself to a state where you're passionate about the way you're living, you got unlimited resources to give back. Now, something else I've observed, and that I'm still observing, is that our world isn't perfect. Now, it's not bad. In fact, it's a lot better than it could be, but there are areas where it could use some help. And our generation, my generation, is a very powerful one. It's fueled by, well, technology is a huge input. It's a changing generation. We're watching a lot go on in the world through economics, politics, things like terrorism, and not so good things like, politics or those who threaten certain political standpoints in varying countries. We're watching wars break out, wars be resolved. We're watching a lot go on. But one underlying strand that I'm observing is that there are places where we can help. So I get asked a lot when I speak at schools or conferences or, meetings. I get asked often, what's your urgency? Why, you're 15, you should take a step back and relax. Why do you have such a big, first of all, why do you have such a big vision, which I haven't quite clarified to you guys yet, and I'll get to that. But, why is your head so big, and why are you so urgent to make progress, to move forward? You should, take a step back and enjoy high school, enjoy being a teenager. And to that, I often respond with, I guess urgency is the correct word if you look it up in a dictionary, but personally, it's not necessarily a rush. I'm not in a rush to live my life. I'm not in a rush to grow older, but I have a hunger, and that hunger is to explore, to create, to learn, and to give back. I have a lot of role models, and no, they're not people you see on TV often or those of other social media influencers like Kim Kardashian, for example. Those aren't the people that I look up to. But some of the people that I am completely in awe by are those like Tony Robbins or Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., people like Ty Lopez, entrepreneurs, creators, and inventors who have taken an idea or taken a part of themselves and given back to the world. And I can't say exactly what point it was that I made this decision, but I hit a point where I decided I want to leave an impact. It doesn't necessarily mean I want to go become famous or I want to go become the next, Taylor Swift. But when I leave my earth, when I leave this earth, whatever that may be, I want to have left something good behind. And you can do that in day-to-day actions. You can do that, I give back at school. You can be part of clubs. You can be president of clubs. And that's all giving back. And that's all great. But I want to do that on a bigger scale. So I realized, what if I was able to get my peers together and bring this generation together in one way or another and elevate them to a point where they're so content with the way they're living that they're bringing and consistently providing passion and positivity and love and giving back, helping the parts of the world that could use that. Because although we're watching the world in this turmoil and watching it grow and evolve and change, we're also watching new advancements. Right now, my generation is at a point where we have so many, I mean, nearly every year there's something new technological coming about, right? There are new scientific studies, new technological advances, and we're in an age where we have unlimited resources. We have, the internet, which is phenomenal. I can type just about any question in and there's an answer. And we have through the ability of technology, like I'm able to connect with you guys right now, right? So we're at a point, the way I see it with my generation where, and everybody else here, but especially the teens and the peers and those I'm growing up with, we have unlimited potential, just like everybody on this planet does. One of my favorite quotes from a book, it's called Seneca on the Shortness of Life, and he's a philosopher, and one of my favorite things he says is that life is not short, which is something we hear a lot. Life is short, so live it up. Or a thing that was big when I was young, a few years ago when I was younger, I'm only 15, but was like YOLO, you only live once. But this philosopher speaking to that says, no, life isn't short. In fact, it's just long enough. The fact is that many of us waste it and spend our time doing things that A, either don't make us happy, or B, aren't making an impact, aren't giving back. So one day when we look up and decide, this is really what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to give. A lot of time has passed, and therefore we take it as life is short. But life is only short if you let it pass us by. So when people ask me, what's your urgency, or why are you so fueled, so energetic, why are you consistently moving forward, why don't you sit down and take a step back, it all wraps around that quote. I realize that, first of all, my life is not guaranteed. I'm not guaranteed to be here tomorrow or the week after, and that's something we hear a lot. But it's something I'm coming not just to learn, but to really grasp and to understand. I'm realizing that life isn't short, and since I have time and I have the potential to bring something and to give back, that's what I want to do. That's what I need to do. And not everybody shares this standpoint with me, but I personally feel like I have a responsibility to my life. I have a responsibility to the gift that I was given, the gift of being here. So my vision of taking our generation and bringing them together in a way that we positively impact this world, that we leave our impact, so hundreds of years from now, people are able to look back and be, hey, back when the millennials helped X, Y, and Z. And you know what? It's possible this movement doesn't grow that big. It's a huge, huge vision. But I can make a difference in smaller ways. Breaking it down to, for example, entrepreneurship, which is something that I am extremely passionate about. It's a huge hobby. I mean, I have school, I do sports and other clubs and whatnot, but I love entrepreneurship. And my favorite thing about it is that it allows us to create anything you want. 9-to-5 jobs aren't bad. There's nothing wrong with them. But I've come to learn that you don't have much leeway. If I were to work at McDonald's, but I love music, which is a passion of mine, it's not my main direction, but for example, I love music. But if I go and work at McDonald's, there isn't much I can do there. But if I learn the art of entrepreneurship, the art of, there are other facets to it, like, marketing and promotion and all of that, but the simple concept of taking an idea or a dream or a passion and building a life from that fascinates me beyond belief. So currently, the smaller portion of the big vision I have, the smallest project I'm working on, is my own business where I'm learning the art of entrepreneurship, personal development, which to me are just fancy words for creationship and becoming the best version of yourself. So I'm learning as much as I can in those two areas, and I put them into programs that I then go and teach other teams. I go and teach my peers. And my ultimate dream or mission is to help build my generation up and help it consist of individuals who aren't necessarily following the blueprint that's been kind of laid out for us, that's given to us at birth. And I'll speak about that in a moment. But a generation of individuals who are cognizant of who they are and are aware of the world and their surroundings and are confident in building and leading a life that they love. Life isn't short, so why let it pass you by, right? So currently I go to a ton of business and entrepreneurship, conferences, and I learn everything from online internet marketing to personal development, Tony Robbins types of things. And what I've observed as I've begun to bits and pieces, small speeches here and there, speaking to other teams and my site online, what I'm becoming to learn is that teams are starting to listen. People are starting to realize, my peers are starting to acknowledge that there is another path. Now, I mentioned the blueprint earlier, and for me, it's something I observed or became more aware of a few years ago. And it goes something like this. You're born and you go through the first 5-10 years of your life, right, up through elementary school, and everybody asks you, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And through that time, you're learning the basics, reading, writing, you learn how to speak, you learn how to draw and whatnot. And then you start getting to middle school, and people still ask, what do you want to do? What do you want to do in the world? Who do you want to be? And at that point, it starts to slow down. And then you reach high school, and you get asked the same question, but it's with an entirely different spin on it. Now, when I was 5, I wanted to be the next Britney Spears or Beyonce or whichever singer was big. I wanted that, and I wanted to be a speaker, which is a really weird path for a 5-year-old, but, that was my dream. And, you can talk to other kids, people in kindergarten or other elementary schoolers, and I'm going to go become a billionaire, or I'm going to become an astronaut, this, that, and the other. And as I mentioned, the older you get, that question begins to turn until you reach high school, right? And people go, well, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And instead of you saying, I want to be a president, or any of the other cliche thousands of answers you hear, it's, well, let me see, which job has the highest income. So currently I'm looking at biomed tech because I think that it has the highest potential to provide this much income for this. And everything you wanted to create gets repressed to an extent. Now, don't get me wrong, I love school. Hands down, one of my favorite places to be. I love the social interactions. I love learning new languages. I love math. I love reading. I love learning about the world. And we are beyond blessed, especially in the United States, to have as much access to education as we do. But I believe that more of it can be added in from the extra perspective of what thinking bigger. So you're born, you go through elementary school, middle school, high school, and then it becomes about good grades, GPAs, good 4.0, university, scholarships, 9.5, 9 to 5 job, and there you go. And I've watched this with my parents from a personal perspective kind of fall into that cycle. I spoke to my dad, I speak to my mom, and they have big dreams. They're doing big things, which is awesome. But they always speak with this sense of, if I had have known what you know now at your age, I would have. Or if only I could go back to myself now and start anew, I would. And it's not that they don't like where they are, right? They have a house and they have kids and a job, and it's great. But they're not doing what they love. And the more I observed this, I decided that that's not the path I personally want to take. There are some aspects of the blueprint, the whole, you're born, go through school, get a good job, you're set, that I enjoy. I do want to have a family, and I love learning. I love to learn. Whether it's in school or out traveling, I love to learn. However, I don't want to reach a certain age and become idle, become complacent. and let the world and my life just move around me. So I'm out there right now speaking to other teens and other youth about ways they can use the tools which entrepreneurship and personal development provides to build themselves a lifestyle where they're consistently inspiring and motivating others, A, and B, where they're out there, doing something they love and giving back. I think that there's more to just living a life that you're passionate about, which I think is beyond important, right? We have this life, live it to its fullest. But I think that's only one half of the equation. We're also here to give back. So if I teach other teens, or I inspire other teens, other youth, even if it's just one or two or three people, and they acknowledge, oh, okay, well, I was going to be an engineer because my dad said I should, but actually, I'm passionate about being an architect, for example, right? Well, go become an architect. Go start your own business, your own architectural company, and start building homes. And, that can spur to, I also like to travel. So maybe that one individual starts traveling and starts to notice the third world countries where students and other children don't have homes or don't have places of school or don't have churches. And he goes, I have a pretty big company. I have cash to spare and the resources. Let's bring that here and start building up from here. Now, this talk has gone all over the place, and that is a very small example, but taking that example and blowing it up to a much larger scale is my overall vision. My main project is to teach other teens and inspire other teens and youth and people in general. I don't believe that there's necessarily a prime age to really begin living. I think that my generation and I are in a prime time of our lives. We're still young enough where, our responsibility list is there, but we've still got the support of family, right? But we also have all of these resources. We have the ability to go to different conferences. We have the internet. We have people who support us. So if we start creating now and start giving back now, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, think about how much, or at least I think about how much more the world can be improved, how different it can look. If we all did what we love, if we all created, how much of a difference can we make? Because we're one generation, and there have been many generations before us, and there will be many generations after us. But we are a generation. We are here on this planet. We exist, we matter, and we have potential to give back. We have the potential to make a difference, to leave an impact. So for me, I chose entrepreneurship and personal development as my main tools to do that. I'm passionate about many things, and I'm learning right now how to take those passions, how to take that motivation, that drive, and do something with it. Everybody has a dream. Everybody. And everybody has the ability to go above and beyond in achieving that dream. All it takes is action. Now, I do not have it all figured out. I'm still learning, and I have a lot to learn before I reach, other goals I've set aside. Become financially free, or I want to travel the world, etc. But on my journey, I want to bring others with me and show them what I'm seeing, teach them what I'm learning. And in that sense, spark, even if it's just a small movement, a movement of doers, a movement of creators, of lovers, of passionate young minds who are creating and improving the world that we were given to live in. So that is the basics of what I'm doing with my business. And I have other, I've used entrepreneurship in other ways. I have other small ventures because I don't have a job. I'm 15, but having money is something that I enjoy, right? So learning how to create revenue. So if you break it down, that entire vision on a much smaller scale, entrepreneurship and personal development are tools that teens can use not just to go become Nelson Mandelas and Gandhis and Mother Teresa's and change the world. At the end of the day, that is a big overlying vision, but it's not something I can do tomorrow. And I have a lot of teens ask, places I've spoken at, and at the last conference especially, they're like, well, Jenya, I'm not a billionaire. I can't go give back. Or, Jenya, you don't understand. Like, yes, I'm passionate about becoming a singer, or I'm passionate about this, but I have to go become a lawyer because lawyers are what get paid. And that's something that it saddens me when I see somebody with a light and a passion that they kind of put out themselves. There's a whole hide your light under a bushel thing, which is, we hear a lot. But seeing it in action, to me, has kind of opened my eyes to how much of our generation right now is not aware to what's out there or what's possible for them. Even if you use, entrepreneurship as a different source of revenue aside from your day job, or personal development is one of the most important facets that I've learned that I've come to adopt in growing myself and growing my businesses and excelling in school, etc. Because unless you are true and understand who you are, everything I spoke about doesn't matter. If I don't believe in myself, if I don't respect myself, if I don't even know what I want, everything I just spoke about goes completely out the window. So in speaking and teaching to other teams, there are so many different ways that entrepreneurship and personal development or business and finance or all of these different, categories, there's so many places for us to fit in. So many places for teens to gain help and to gain knowledge and to gain drive. And I am beyond passionate about, like I said, giving back to the world, right, which is a huge goal, but to giving back to one or two peers. If I can lift one or two of my friends' spirits and help pull them out of depression or help pull them out of, self-body images or things like that through personal development, great. That's a difference right there. That's an impact that I made. If they then go and start their own business, right, and start donating to charities, it's a small difference, but that's a difference. And that is what I'm about. That is my goal. I want to live an extraordinary life. My biggest fear is not of failure. My biggest fear is not to fall down. I've fallen plenty of times. I'll continue to fall. And I'm just starting out in the whole world of business and personal development. I'm still learning. But I have plenty of experience, coming through school and the art of growing up. You fall so many times. Another comment I get a lot is, if I had have, learned what you're learning at that age, the number of mistakes I could have avoided or pitfalls I could have avoided. And that was something that resonated with me as well. I was like, the more I learned and the more it applied to my life through entrepreneurship, personal development, and all of the possibilities, which are endless, the more I learned, the more I wanted to teach because of what it did for me in my life. And so as I was saying, failure does not scare me. I'm not thrilled about it. I know it'll happen. I'm not like, woohoo, for face plants. Not by any means. But what scares me the most is to be exactly where I was a year from now, or 20 years from now, see the world exactly where it was, if not worse, and realize that I or one of my peers could have been the one or been a part of the group that made that difference. I'm afraid not to change. I'm not afraid to fall down, but I'm afraid not to change. So by teaching other people, it doesn't have to be youth, it doesn't have to be my generation. I speak to other adults all the time, and like I said, I get asked, what's your urgency? And to that, I often respond, what's yours? I've got an entire life, and I've got endless potential and endless possibilities. So do you, so does she, so does he, so does my generation. My urgency is to tap into that and start making a difference as soon as possible because there's no point in waiting. There are plenty of things out there that can use improvement, plenty of people out there that deserve to be living a life that they love. And plenty of people out there that don't know how to yet or don't know that that's even possible. So, in short, when I'm asked what's my urgency, it's simply to constantly be growing, to be learning, to be creating. My urgency stems from the place of knowing that life isn't too short, that life is just long enough. and that I have the opportunity to take advantage of it and to help others do the same. It comes from knowing that I can make a difference, that my best friend can make a difference, that my teacher can make a difference. It comes from learning and beginning to really understand the definition of untapped potential and where that can take us, where that can take a generation or a world. So that is, that's what I came on to speak about. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. So that is, I mean, yeah, that's a big part of who I am and what I do. I'm not sure, I have never spoken online before, I don't think.
Right. You did great. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. I don't know how much you know about Rotary, but our motto is service above self. So we are out there trying to make a difference in the world.
I love that. Howard mentioned a little bit about what you guys do, and it blew me away. I love, here's the thing, I'm one person, and even if you pulled every, teenager across America, that only amounts to a few, I don't know, a few thousand or a few million of the entire world population, which is not a lot. But it's something, and I've learned I cannot change the world on my own, but I can start a movement to help inspire others to do that. And even if it's something as small as creating a world full of happier, more energetic, more lively people who are more willing to give back, who are creating more for the world, I'll take that. That's awesome. So if I'm able to teach one or two other people entrepreneurship and what it can do for them, how to start your own business, the importance of having a business, or the importance of personal development, that's a difference right there. And that's one or two more people.
How have your parents influenced you?
How have my parents influenced me? Oh my gosh. Well, both of my parents they've been entrepreneurs since I can remember. They both work. My parents are separated, so my dad is remarried, my mom is not. But both of my parents, when I was younger, had their own businesses, and in 2007, when the economy crashed, we lost everything. That was a fun year, but houses, cars, and the family kind of fell apart. That's when they separated. But right now, both of my parents have their own businesses again. One of my parents is remarried. The other one is buying a home and has a thriving business. They definitely influenced me in the sense of teaching me that, A, you have to be true to who you are. My parents were never the types who were told me, I didn't pop out of the womb and they were like, you are going to be a doctor, or you, my friend, are set up to be a lawyer. They were like, go find who you are and find what you want to do with the world. Now remember to always give back, but who do you want to be? So they definitely influenced me to be my own person. They also definitely influenced me by some of the hardships I watched them go to, which at the time I included myself in, but I now kind of pull myself out because at the end of the day, what I went through compared to what they fought through to, provide for their family was completely different. But they've definitely influenced me to know that no matter how low things get, no matter how hard things get, that there's coming back from anything. You can come back from anything. So I'm definitely not as afraid to fall down. They've definitely taught me that it's okay to fall, that you're going to fall, and that that's okay. They've influenced me to be my own person, and they've definitely influenced me and kind of taught me the importance of, or the gift of what our life really is. Of this is not, it's not something that should be taken advantage of. I'd say those are probably the three areas of my life that they've influenced me the most. And there have also been influences that I don't think they even knew that they made. Through things I've watched them go through, or through struggles I went through. I went through things with my mom, or I've been through things with my dad. Struggles and challenges we've been through that were more negative, but definitely influenced me in a positive way. Every challenge or hardship I've been through, I wouldn't give it up. If people were like, would you go back and redo it again without that? No, because I learned so much from those experiences. My parents are definitely the people who have taught me the most and brought me the highest. And I've also been, hit the hardest points and biggest challenges and been at the lowest points of my life in their care and with them. But above all, they love my brother and I. And that's all they do is they love us and they support us. So those are the main ways that they've influenced me for sure.
Okay, well, thank you. Does anyone have any questions out in the audience or here?
Just wanted to say, I remember who it was. It was Dennis Waitley. Dennis Waitley.
Jenya, real quick, we need to wrap up. I was wondering, do you have something organized to bring your peers and fellow age group folks together, or your plans for that? And have you known of any of the Rotary or other service organizations that have organizations in high school?
So I am not involved in any of the Rotary groups currently. I didn't even know what Rotary was until I met Howard. But at school, I'm part of peer counseling, which is a student-to-student outreach program. I'm head of that. Next year, I'm starting another club, a new club for reaching your full potential or unlocking your potential. We can't reach it yet. We're always growing, but for kind of inspiring and bringing support to other teams on campus. And outside of school, I have a YouTube channel that I'm building up. I have my website where I have interviews and a blog that I do and another video series. I'm starting up a podcast. And my ultimate goal, something I would love to do, is have my own live event where I have other teams and youth and anybody who wants to come where I'm able to teach. I haven't done that yet. Most of what I do is online right now, so I don't have anything major. But yeah, I have packages that I'm able to give to teams. I have speeches where I go speak at schools and whatnot. So
It sounds like we need to start an Interact club at your high school. It's a Rotary club, and I'll get you some information, get you some contacts.
That would be awesome. That'd be totally
We
awesome.
also have things like Violet's Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, which is a week-long entrepreneur thing, skills and leadership, and summer camp for a week that they have out there. And
That's so
we
cool.
did ours this last week, and ours is a week, some are only 3 or 4 days, but I will be talking to you afterwards, and we'll get some things going, and maybe you can get an Interact club starting in your high school.
That would be awesome. I'd love that. I'd appreciate the support and the help greatly. Thank you. That's awesome.
I think we're about ready to wrap up, and we do appreciate your coming on.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so much.